This is State of Michigan versus Tavion Calhoun, case 2405604-201. Today is the date set for a bond redetermination hearing. Can I have appearances, please?
Good morning, Judge. Again, always a privilege. Steve Benson for the people, P71917.
Once again, Your Honor, Philip Reagan on behalf of Mr. Calhoun. Wait up, well, Judge, he's here for bond redetermination.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Calhoun, sir, could you state your name for the record, please?
Tavion Devontae Calhoun.
All right, thank you, Mr. Calhoun. Today is the date set for a bond redetermination hearing. Bond is set as an intentionally unaffordable cash bond at this point. Mr. Reagan as to bond.
Judge, Mr. Calhoun is 29, does have some previous convictions, Judge, does have a prior home invasion and retail fraud. I just want to be honest about that. He just got his probation reinstated the other day, Judge, for an operating while intoxicated case. So he got that reinstated, so he's on probation, receives SSI, doesn't have any children, Judge, lives in the Metro Detroit area. Obviously, Judge, the home invasion case, it's a serious case. The bond is $30,000, Judge. I think that if you have no contact, you have a tether, and you have house arrest because there's no work here. Mr. Calhoun's not working, so he doesn't need to leave the house. I think a less restrictive measure other than incarceration could be, Judge, in this case, a personal bond with the tether and the house arrest, complete house arrest, Judge. He understands he's not to have contact, go back to the location where these alleged incidents occurred. But again, there are still allegations, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Vincent.
Judge, well, let's be super honest with you here. The defendant's on probation right now for two different offenses. For that OWI offense that he had already spent jail on, as well as a drug offense that he ended up pleading to, which is still active. Actually, Judge, within the last year and a half, he's been convicted of 5 offenses. 4 of which he's ended up spending jail time on, and I actually added them all up and divided by 4, average of 62 days in jail for each one of those offenses. And then, Judge, by the way, within the last month, he ended up pleading to an assault that was pled down to from a robbery, as well as a fleeing and eluding from Toledo, Ohio. And at sentencing, he failed to appear. So on top of the dangerous component that we have here, we have a flight risk. And I'm sure Your Honor ended up reading the allegations. We have an address from this individual in Ohio. We have an address here in Michigan. I mean, he's just on a spree, with all due respect, Judge. Within a year and a half, he has 5 convictions, and he pleaded to fail to appear on. Judge, I mean, what you and I and everybody else look at is a robbery charge being one of the highest offenses that you could be charged with, let alone being convicted of. And then, Judge, we have the allegations of an individual who, let himself into a house that wasn't his. There's a young girl who's scared. There's a mom who's scared. He doesn't belong there. And then, there's gasoline or whatever it is that they were talking about in the investigations, Judge. I mean, clearly he's a danger. I'm going to ask for a cash bond, Judge. I just think that at the present time, he poses a danger to this community, maybe to other communities, because allegedly he's committed crimes there where he's pled to. So respectfully, Judge, we're just going to ask you to continue this.
Judge, he's got the cash bond. Just briefly, Judge, I'm hearing what Mr. Vincent said. I don't know anything about robberies or anything like that, but I do know that this, obviously is serious. And I think that the court with the tether and house arrest could solve that issue. Yes, he has priors. He's receiving SSI. He's back on probation, so he's being monitored by the probation department as well. And they have certain conditions that he has to abide by. If he doesn't, he violates that and goes to jail. But I think right now, Judge, with the tethering house arrest, you could make sure that he doesn't go back to that location, nor to any other location, because house arrest means you stay in the house. You don't get a chance to get out and drive or walk to the store. You don't get those options when you're on house arrest, Judge.
And Judge, I know you
I'm
don't
sorry,
like
no,
me.
Mr. Vincent,
Sorry.
stop.
Sorry.
I'm looking at previous history as well as the allegations that were set forth in this. And Mr. Vincent, you called this a robbery. But it looks like, at least according to the allegations, the defendant had a specific purpose of coming to that house. It was alleged that he was asking for his mail. Then it's alleged at some point after the complainant, fear for her safety and the safety of her child, locks herself in a bedroom, realizes that someone is in that house, and possibly did something to the gas to cause her eyes to water. I'm not convinced that a non-cash effort would prevent Mr. Calhoun from coming back to that address. And this, on top of that, it sounds like there has been at least an occasion where the defendant missed a sentencing on a felony matter in a different jurisdiction. I am inclined to keep the bond where it's at. I believe that there's preponderance of evidence that the defendant is a flight risk in this situation, and I don't believe that a non-cash restriction would prevent him from not showing up to court. So I'm going to keep the bond where it's at this point.
Thank you, Judge. And I just have to let you know this, and I apologize. I may have confused you. The robbery and fleeing and eluding, that was the Toledo, Ohio incident.
Oh,
that was one that he just ended up, he just pled to that one, but he failed to appear in sentencing. I didn't mean to misrepresent to this court that there was a robbery that took place here. This is the home invasion. You're absolutely
So he pled on a robbery in Ohio?
And the funny thing was, and I know Mr. Reagan, and I take him at his word, even though it's kind of, I don't know, how to take this. I tried to tell him about this yesterday, in regards to these cases. I think he was busy. He was juggling the felony arraignment.
So Mr. Benson, I'm sorry to cut you off, but did he plead to the robbery in Ohio, or is that just the original charge and pled to the fleeing and eluding?
No, he ended up, the original charge was robbery. It got pled down to an assault, but then he had a fleeing and eluding charge on top of that he ended up pleading to. So he pled on the nose to the fleeing and eluding, and then the robbery got pled down to an assault, and then he was on a cash bond, but then he pled, so it was converted to a personal, and then he failed to appear at sentencing.
I'm sorry, everyone. That's enough. Let me give you guys the next date.
Okay.
Oh, I just wanted to clear that up. Sorry. Even though I don't think.
Judge Williams.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Judge Williams. I feel that I'm not a flight risk. I'm not a flight risk. Like I just wanted to leave on at least tether or get a personal bond, because I do have another case out in Toledo. I didn't make the case in Toledo because I didn't get my mail and my ID. They wouldn't let me leave Michigan. Well, I couldn't leave Michigan without getting my check and stuff to go back to Toledo. So
that's one of the issues with this case, Judge. His mail was going to that address.
Yeah, my mail was going to that address, and that was my whole thing about going to that address.
So both of you.
Right.
I made my ruling. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
Let me get you the next day.
Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Attorney Reagan.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second.
Okay, Mr. Calhoun, your next date is a probable cause conference, March 15th, 2024, before Judge Sabri. And then that's followed by a preliminary exam, March 22nd, before Judge Sabri as well. All right, and that concludes this hearing.
Thank you, Judge.
Calhoun.
Mr. Perkins, I'm just gonna come upstairs for a second, and they can bring Mr. Jackson.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Calhoun, your lawyer's going to be able to come see you shortly, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Reagan. I was wondering, why couldn't I get
We're still on
You want me to
YouTube.
put you on breakout room, Tia?
Yep.
Hey, put me in the breakout room real quick,
Oh,
Marcia.
I can't. Judge Williams got, didn't make
Okay.
it go.
I'm gonna come try to come down. Hold on. You're not co-host? Okay.
No, Judge Williams took it,
Okay. Can you cut the YouTube off?
oh, I can't do nothing because he the host.
Okay. Well, it's not this. I'm gonna try to come down.